Every day I wake up is another blessing. Thankful every second, getting God's protection. I lost connection in the desert, I had no reception. But in that time alone, I probably learned 1,000 lessons. I used my time for introspection and some self-reflection, and analyzed a couple ways to conquer my depression. Everything doesn't happen the way we plan it to, but if we harvest energy, then we can plan it too. So take a look in my eyes, that's where the story lies. I'm telling truth, and that isn't often glorified. I'm showing up, fully present in the moment, realizing self-doubt is my only opponent. So now I'm focused and rolling, the energy is flowing, hoping I stay zoning and my catalog keeps growing. That's the motive, and I'm devoted. My destiny awaits, and I'm not going unnoticed.
Wake up every morning and respect the blessings. Yeah, we made it out, you know that this was destined. Death, pain, scars, love and living reckless. Made it through the storm, yeah, that trip was hectic. Wake up every morning and respect the blessings. Yeah, we made it out, you know that this was destined. Death, pain, scars, love and living reckless. Made it through the storm, yeah, that trip was hectic.
I won't lie to you, baby, I took some summers off, but now I'm back at work trying to cover summer's cost. Had a couple battles, some were won and some were lost, but I fought for my life, I had no other choice. I feel grateful that God gave me another chance, but I don't understand, I still don't fully understand. Lessons learned and feathers earned. You don't think it's possible until it's your turn. Now we fight like we got nothing left to lose. No one else on earth has been in our shoes. Some will consider it paying our dues, but now we rock these battle scars like tattoos.
Wake up every morning and respect the blessings. Yeah, we made it out, you know that this was destined. Death, pain, scars, love and living reckless. Made it through the storm, yeah, that trip was hectic. Wake up every morning and respect the blessings. Yeah, we made it out, you know that this was destined. Death, pain, scars, love and living reckless. Made it through the storm, yeah, that trip was hectic. Wake up every morning and respect the blessings. Yeah, we made it out, you know that this was destined. Death, pain, scars, love and living reckless. Made it through the storm, yeah, that trip was hectic.
That should be it.
Yeah, we made it out, you know that this was destined. Death, pain, scars, love and living reckless. Made it through the storm, yeah, that trip was hectic. Yeah, we made it out, you know that this was destined. Death, pain,
Welcome to the Hype It Up Show, the podcast where we explore the world of creative entrepreneurship, YouTubers, and all things hype worthy. I'm your host, John from WHADAFUNK, and I'm excited to share some stories and insights from some of the most talented and innovative individuals in the industry. So let's get ready to be inspired, entertained, and hyped up as we deep dive into the world of entrepreneurship and beyond. Let's hype it up. I'm here with Real Shift Joe right now, and Real Shift Joe is a YouTuber, a movie reviewer, and some say the most honest man on YouTube. So Joe, thank you for being here with us tonight. This is I'm very happy to have you on. People are
Thank you
really
for having me.
excited and
Yes.
are ready to learn more about you. So
Yes.
let's start off. Who are you and what do you do? Like, what's your story? Let's hear a little background story of who you are and what you do.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm Joe from Real Shift. Obviously, I do movie reviews and reactions. So like there'll be articles and stuff like that. I'll react to stuff like news items about movies. But mostly it is reviews. That's what I like to focus on. And yeah, basically how you want me to get into how it all started, I guess, is kind of what we're going for here. I mean, yeah, I'm a longtime movie fan, obviously, as you can see behind me. And yeah, I just came to a point like I would watch YouTube like everybody else. And I got to a point kind of where like I was watching so many movie reviewers that like to me, not to downplay anybody else's opinion, but something about it wasn't vibing right with me. It felt like honest opinions were becoming few and far between, if that makes sense.
Mm.
So I basically kind of took it upon myself to start my own channel. And I figured if I want to get something done right, I got to do it myself kind of thing. And like, yeah, my whole thing is just like being honest, like not being swayed by outside influences or anything else going on, just judging a movie purely on what I'm seeing on screen. Because a lot of times you'll see those biases creep into people's reviews sometimes, and I don't try to let that affect me at all. Like I'm to the point now where I don't even watch other movie reviewers because I don't even want to be influenced by their opinions. Like I just want everything to be 100% me, to be honest, and that's my whole thing really. Like, and that's really where it all started. Is just as simple as me wanting to talk about movies and yeah, wanting to get an honest opinion out there. So
I,
yeah,
I like that. I feel like that definitely describes your channel and you and what you
yeah,
do straight out the bat.
yeah.
So when did you start your YouTube channel?
I actually started it in I want to say 2017 is the actual year I started. I was just telling John about this before we got on, but I actually started with five other people. So it was like me and five other people, and it was more of a podcast format. So it was like there was no video, it was all audio. It was just us kind of sitting around microphones talking, and that worked for a while, but it's very difficult to it was difficult for me to get people to see my vision, like what I wanted the channel to be, because I was still kind of leading the charge on that. And just one by one, they kind of dropped off one by one because I guess I was asking too much or whatever. And then it came to the point where it was just me, and then I just completely like revamped the channel. And I would say that happened about 3 years ago now, where I kind of went solo. It was probably 2020 around that area, I think. Yeah, that I went solo, and honestly, like it was the best thing that could have happened. Not to downplay anybody else, but
Yeah.
like it just it created like this whole new like space for me to just be creatively like able to do whatever I want to do. Like and for me to make the channel what I wanted it to be. And that's like honestly all I ever wanted. Like I knew in my head what I wanted, but I couldn't relay that to other people just by them having a lack of interest. You know what I mean? They weren't taking it as seriously as I was, I guess. So it came to the point where basically I was just like, you know what? I'm going to do it myself. And honestly, like ever since I've done that, I've noticed a drastic change in my engagement with like people and people finding my channel. So it was just it was definitely a big transition for me, but like you know, it took some time because at first I was very nervous about being on camera by myself and all that stuff. But as time went on, it just felt natural to me. Like that's what I was supposed to be doing the whole time. So and that's pretty much how it started. Yeah. So
So that's really interesting. So
yeah.
so you pretty much had something going and it didn't really feel as it was the right thing kind of, but
Right.
it kind of moved into something that was actually better
Yes.
off anyway. So
100%. Yeah.
so what so I'm guessing that there was some kind of break in between the point of when you started and then when you took over by yourself or
Well,
no?
honestly, the pandemic was the start of it because like we were quarantining, so
Yeah,
like
yeah.
people we weren't able to meet up as much as really wanted to. And then yeah, there was a brief break, I'd say, like in between, but it wasn't much. Like
Mm,
because I didn't want to give up. I wanted to keep going, and
yeah,
I knew during quarantine people were going to be on YouTube because they can't do anything else. So I'm
yeah.
like, this is my time. I need to like keep going with it. And that's really when my channel started to take off. Is when I like dedicated myself to like doing it. And I'd say maybe it was like a matter of a week. It really wasn't a break at all. Like it was
Wow.
like 1 week there was somebody with me. The next I was by myself. Like
That's
it was that quick. Yeah.
That's pretty
So
wild. So
yeah.
what inspired you to start your channel to begin with then?
Um basically my love of movies. Like that was I love talking about movies with people. Like from a very young age, like movies have just had such a profound influence on me. Like my whole family, like we're all movie people. It's like so we would sit around at family get-togethers, family gatherings, and we'll talk movies. We'll quote movies. Like that's what we'll do. Like that's our, that's our thing. When most of my friends that I had, same thing. It was always talking movies, always quoting movies, stuff like so. Like it was just about me, kind of just it initiated as me just wanting to show my love for movies, but it did kind of evolve into something else, and that was me and this is not making myself sound like more than I am, but me trying to save movies. And what I mean by that is that the quality of movies has gone down recently. I think a lot of people can agree with that. And like I want to be in a place where I can do something about that, I guess. Like, you know what I mean? Whether that be create my own content or just maybe influence people to think about movies a bit differently. Like all these things behind me, like we're so important to people, and yet we get movies now that are kind of just forgettable. You watch them, you move on. Like, you know what I mean? There's that it don't that people don't have that same connection with movies anymore, and that's really what I wanted to do. I wanted to let people know that there are still movies out there that you can connect with that are still good,
Mm.
but I also wanted to be there to call out the movies that aren't doing what they should be doing, and that's telling a good story because that's why we go to the movies, right? It's like I just want to be told a good story, but that
Yeah.
seems to be few and far between, unfortunately. So, so that's basically where it started was me just wanting to make a difference, I guess, in the movie industry, or at least talk, or at least with movie conversation, I guess you could
Yeah.
say. So,
I see.
so yeah, yeah,
So you said that you mentioned that you were as a kid you were always into movies.
yeah,
Like
definitely.
so when when did you realize that when you were really young you were like more interested in watching movies than and you were more wanted to know more about wanted to see more like how did that happen like how did you
Yeah, it was when I was a kid. It was definitely like my parent. It sounds bad, but my parents would use movies to kind of distract me. Like if I was like, you know what I mean, like being a pain as a kid, like you know,
yeah
kids are like
yeah
they'd be like they throw on a movie for me and they'd be like, here, watch this. So like from an early age, I had like this vast experience with all different types of movies too, like not just kids movies. Like I was watching like, you know, rated R movies too when I was little. It was like, you know what I mean? So I had like a whole spectrum of movies from a very young age. And I think that was like where it all started kind of, because it's like because now I like because now it's like I got to the point where like I'll watch pretty much anything, and it's continuing on from being a kid for sure, that vibe. But yeah, it just has to do with my upbringing really. It was like, yeah, they basically said, you know, they loved movies, so they introduced me to movies, and I think that's the best way, I think, for the younger generation to kind of get interested in something, is to have someone older than them introduce them to it. Like I really do feel like that's like the best way to go about it, because it worked on me, and I think it's a healthy way to make that transition happen. So yeah, so that's basically what it was. Yeah, just my parents pretty much forcing me into watching movies, and then I just grown to love them. You know what I mean?
yeah
Like, and then as I got older, more appreciation for them, and then I would go more in depth. Then I would like look into how they were being made. I would watch documentaries about movies. I would listen to commentary about movies. So it was like it just, as I grew, as I matured, it just kind of grew from there. And then yeah, it just became movies just became my whole life at that point. So then yeah, that's what it was. And then yeah, like I figured, why not be a movie critic on top of it? Because why not? Like if I'm watching movies, I might as well do something with it too. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's pretty much what it was.
So
Yeah.
how did you turn that passion into movies into wanting to do YouTube instead of just, like you said that you wanted to be a part of it, part of the community, like and
Yeah.
have somewhere to speak about it and have your
Hmm.
opinion. So when was the time where you're like, okay, this is now the time that I want to do this because you've always liked movies, you said, and then like what made
Yes.
you want to start doing, start creating content around it? Like when was that time?
It was I know the exact moment actually. It was 2016. It was a Star Wars movie, that The Last Jedi, that a lot of people talk about. Yes. I know it's a very controversial movie. Like some people love it, some people absolutely hate it. I was one of the people who hated it, and I went on YouTube trying to understand why I hate it so much, because I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I couldn't comprehend in my brain like why I wouldn't like a Star Wars movie.
Mm,
And then as I watched other people talk about it on YouTube, they kind of put my thoughts into words, I guess basically is what happened. And like I was like, okay, so I'm not crazy. This movie has problems. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
because I never had that experience before where I didn't like something that I was a diehard fan of. And then from there, I was just like, I would watch more and more people talk about this movie. And then as it went on, it got to the point where I was just like, I kind of want to like voice my opinion about it now because it's like, like I feel very strongly about it, and that's my thing. Like I have very strong opinions. Like if you watch my videos, you understand like strong opinions. And I'm very passionate about the stuff that I talk about. So like it was difficult for me to just watch someone talk. Like I wanted to get my emotions out. Like, you
Mhm.
know what I mean? And it was like this was a good place to do it because I saw other people like kind of blowing up just off that movie alone. Like
Mhm.
just talking about that movie, like channels were blowing up. And I was like, you know what? This is the time, I think. This is the time because it felt like fans were starting to take back the franchise a little bit. And I think that's what's important because Hollywood has a tendency to not care as much about these things as we do.
Yeah.
And when I see fans taking it upon themselves to try to open people's minds and try to create change, that's basically what inspired me to start doing it myself. Like, and that's my whole thing is just like, I want to give people a place. And this is the other thing. I want to give other people a place to come to my channel and
Mhm.
feel like they can express themselves without being, attacked for it or being put down for it.
Yeah.
Cause I've experienced that as well. Like, you know what I mean? So that's the other part of it too. So yeah, that's pretty much where it started was 2016. Yeah.
Wow, I'm really glad that you remembered the exact moment.
I did.
I wasn't
Yes.
sure if you were gonna remember. That's awesome.
I
That's
was
really dope.
sitting in the theater and I felt like my best friend died watching a movie. That was that was the moment where it clicked for me. I was like what is this feeling I'm having right now? Like I wasn't familiar with that feeling.
Yeah.
And that's yeah, that's where it all started. Like honestly, yes. That's what brought me to YouTube basically. So,
That's really interesting. I'm glad to.
yeah.
I really wanted to know where what got you into it.
Yeah.
So we talk about you said that you weren't really happy with that movie. What makes a good movie? That's what I want to know. What is your opinion on what makes a good movie? And like not just a good movie, but like a movie that's a classic or something that you would be able
Yes.
to go back and watch, something like that.
Yeah.
What are
There's a
some things that make
there's
a good movie to you?
yeah, there's a few different things I look for in like a movie and usually these things are pretty obvious to me and I know that like this is a good movie when I walk out of the theater and I'm still thinking about it when I left. Because a lot of times I'll walk out of the theater and I'll be like, I already forgot what I watched. Like it had no impact on me whatsoever. But for me, the biggest things I think, well, first and foremost is originality. Um, I just I just prefer at this point in my life, I want like original content. I don't really want sequels. I don't really want franchises. I don't really want spin-offs and like that's just not interesting to me anymore. Like I want originality. I want filmmakers to have creative freedom to do whatever they want. Like that's first and foremost to me, that's the most important thing that makes a good movie. Beyond that, I mean, just telling me a good story, writing characters that are relatable and believable and organic, and it's about causing some kind of reaction in me while I'm watching your movie. That's really what it's about. Like where I'm like, oh my god, I've never seen that. Like I want to go to the theater and see something I've never seen before. Like you know what I mean? And if you look at like my top movies from last year, I think 9 out of the top 10 were all original ideas. They were all original movies. They were all, like, not really connected to anything. The only one that was connected to something was Top Gun. I think that was the only one in my top 10 that
Hmm.
wasn't, like, an original movie. But even that, on its own merits, it was like it took the original idea and improved upon it. So it was like it was still felt fresh. So
Yeah.
it's like, I'm just looking for something fresh when I watch movies. Like, that's really what it is. Like, I hate there's nothing I hate more than going to a movie and being like, "I've seen this movie 1,000 times." Like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Hmm.
And it happens way too much. Like, it happens way too much. It's like, give me something original.
Yeah.
Like, that's my number 1 criteria, like, honestly, originality. Like, that's eh, other than that, like, yeah, then we start looking at story and acting and stuff like that and,
Hmm.
writing because, writing's pretty poor these days also. But it's like, yeah, like it's just I don't know, just make it feel real. Like that's all it really is. Like
Hmm.
I don't want to feel like I'm watching a movie. I want to feel like I'm in the
You're
movie. Like
part
you
of
know what
it.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
that's exactly what it is.
I
So
see.
so yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Yeah.
All right. That's really dope. I like to hear uh other input about what you think would make it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
originality definitely. I see what you're saying with that.
Yes.
How effective is a movie trailer in influencing you for watching it?
um in the
You
past,
personally.
yeah, in the past they were very effective, not so much anymore. I think the art of the movie trailer is a dying art, like, honestly. Because trailers in the past, what's the purpose of a trailer? It's to get you interested in a movie, right? Like, it's to build enough intrigue in the audience to make you want to go watch that movie. So when trailers aren't doing that, then it kind of defeats the purpose of even making them. So, like, by today's standards, no, like, trailers don't really. In fact, most trailers make me not want to watch a movie now, unfortunately, like modern trailers. Like, but I think back to, like, when I was younger, and, like, even some of the worst movies from when I was younger had good trailers. Like, so it was like,
Mm.
it did enough to get me in. Like, I know if Rocco's listening, he's gonna hate this, but the Resident Evil 2. It's the second Resident Evil movie, the Mila Jovovich ones,
Hmm.
has an amazing teaser trailer. Like, one of the best teaser trailers I've ever seen in my life. The movie is not very good, but the trailer itself, I watched the trailer and I was like, "Oh my god, I need to go watch that movie." Like, it was
Wow.
literally, it didn't show me anything in the movie. It was purely a teaser. It was actually a fake commercial for cosmetics. And at the end of the thing, the lady turns into a zombie, and it's like, and then you see the umbrella, like, symbol and all from the game and all that,
Yeah.
and it's like, it had me hooked. I was like, "Yo, that's a brilliant way to sell your movie." It's like, because I didn't know what I was watching at first.
Yeah.
Like,
You're.
I'm watching the trailer and I'm like, "What is this?" I like, did they put a commercial in the
Mm.
trailers? Like, what's going on here? Yeah, it turns out it was a Resident Evil trailer, and it was like, the movie ended up not being very good, but the trailer was great. So, unfortunately now, though, it's bad trailers and bad movies. So it's like, you can't
Yeah.
really win either way.
Yeah.
Like, half the time when you watch a modern trailer, you know what the movie's about. Like, you know the whole movie. They show you way too much. Like, they do. So
They do
that,
show you a lot
yes,
nowadays
yeah,
in the trailers.
yeah.
Um, so you were talking about when you were a kid, the trailers influence you. What kind of movies were you into when you were a kid? Like, what kind of movies
um,
did you like?
I I liked kids movies too.
Okay.
I don't talk about them much because, it's
Yeah.
kids movies. But I grew up on, like, early Disney movies. Like, my grandparents would show me, like, early Disney movies, like the animated ones before they got,
Hmm.
CG and all that. But I mean, honestly, like, growing up, like, yeah, like I said, my parents, I'd watch whatever they watch. So, like, for the most part, like, I was watching, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. I was watching, like, RoboCop. I was watching Star Wars. I was watching, uh, yeah, like, all stuff like that. Like, science fiction action movies were probably what I watched most, more than anything. So that was, like, the beginnings of it, I guess you could say. Like, I was practically raised on Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. Like, my whole family watched them. I watched them. It was like, like, his movies very much shaped me into the person I am today. Very much so. Like, it's like, and what's funny is that, like, he's not the best actor in the world, but his movies, for whatever reason, are just so memorable to me. It's like, he did the most with what he had. Like, it was like, he didn't have, the best, voice or anything like that,
Yeah.
but he picked movies that worked for him. Like, you know what I mean? And I think that was the key to his success, and that's why those movies, like, kind of aged well. It was like he picked a movie like The Terminator, where he barely has to speak, because, it was convenient for him early in his career, when, like, people had a hard time understanding his voice,
Yeah.
but he still had a screen presence in Terminator to where people were like, "Man, this guy's special." Like, you know what I mean? Like, so that's kind of like, yeah, I would say, like, those type of movies, action movies, science fiction movies, were probably the thing that I watched most growing up. Yeah, for sure.
That's cool. I
Yeah.
see you have a bunch of you use a backdrop as it looks like VHS tapes.
Yes, VHS. Yes.
Do you collect
Yes, I do.
tapes
Yes.
and
Yes.
DVDs? What do you
Yes.
collect?
I collect all physical media. So, I'm a big supporter of physical media. So, VHS, DVDs, Blu-rays, all of that. Like, I'll go out on weekends to estate sales, yard sales, and I'll actually hunt for VHS and stuff like that.
Mm.
I just prefer to have things in hand rather than digitally. That's just, it's just my preference. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as far as the VHS goes, like that actually started around the time when I went solo on the channel because I was going through some of my old stuff and I found an old box of VHS that I had, and I was like, it's a shame that these are in a box because to me VHS tapes are like works of art. Like
Yeah.
I love covers of VHS
Hmm.
tapes. Like so, like to me, I was like, it's a shame I'm in the box. They're in a box. So I was like, you know what? I got a YouTube channel. Why don't I start putting them behind me, just kind of displaying them every once in a while? It started with like 10 and now I have hundreds. So it's like over a matter of like 2 years, I'd say 3 years,
Yeah.
maybe. I've just accumulated so many, like I have more than I'm able to handle at this point. Like there's a room on the other side of my basement that's filled with boxes of VHS right now.
That's
It's
amazing.
crazy. I got to get rid of like some of them because like I don't need all of them.
Yeah.
Everything I need is pretty much right here, like
Yeah.
in my display. But yeah, for the most part, yeah. But I love physical media.
Mm.
Big supporter of it because, it's just well, for one, I think physical media it definitely helped the movies in the past because like that they would get extra income from physical media that
Yeah.
they don't really get now. Like, you know
Mm.
what I mean? So it would help the movies financially. But on top of that, I don't believe in it's not that I don't believe in streaming because streaming everybody loves streaming because it's convenient, right?
Yeah.
But on streaming, a lot of times though, they'll edit movies and they'll take
Really.
parts out of them and it won't be the original vision. And I hate that. Like I want to see what the director originally wanted me to see. Like
Mm.
that's how much I care about movies. Like I don't want to see some chopped down version that streaming service gives us. Like, you know what I
Mm.
mean? So that's why I'm a big supporter of physical media because I have it. It's always going to be the same and nobody can change it. Like that's
Yeah.
literally what it is. Like so
and you could
so yeah.
and you could watch it whenever you feel like it.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, exactly. Like I have all the streaming services, I think. I was looking for a movie the other day. It was on none of them. Like I was like none of them. Like so I'm like, okay, I got to go hunt for that movie apparently because like I can't even get it on a streaming service. I got like 20 streaming services and I still can't find the movie I'm looking for. So
Yeah.
it's like it's crazy how much streaming has taken over everything. So yeah.
Yeah, it is crazy. It really is. But the collection of art in the on the VHS is really interesting too.
Yes,
Like,
definitely.
how do you think movie posters affected, like, influence people into going to see a movie? Like, when you going to the movies, you see all these posters and promotions for the
Yeah.
and artwork of the new movies coming out. Do you think that influences people in seeing the movie at all anymore?
No, I don't. Not again, not but it's similar to the trailer discussion we had. I do feel like the art of the movie poster is kind of waned a little bit. Like people aren't as well. First of all, the studios don't take as much time to create them anymore. Like
Mm,
they used to have people hand drawing movie posters.
yeah.
Like you know what I mean. Now it's like a quick Photoshop in like 20 minutes and you got a movie poster. It's
Mm,
like there's no kind of heart or effort that goes into them anymore. Like you look not to rag on the MCU, but you look at every MCU poster, they look all the same. Like it's every character in the movie lined up together and like in a triangle and like in the names at the bottom. Like you know what I mean? It's nothing about that poster. Those posters are memorable.
yeah.
But then you look at like an Indiana Jones poster, for instance, like from the 80s, all hand drawn. Like you know what I mean?
Mm,
Like and they add a certain and like even the posters themselves, like to me, like if I didn't have any idea what an Indiana Jones movie was, and I saw the Raiders of the Lost Ark poster, which is probably one of the most iconic posters probably ever. If I saw that poster, I'd be like, I need to see what that movie's about. Like, there's something about the how posters used to be made. Absolutely, they would influence people. Like,
yeah.
it's like because that's what it's supposed to do, right? It's all part of marketing the movie. It's like but the effort just isn't there anymore because they know people are going to go watch the movies anyway. It's like,
Mm,
why put effort into a poster? You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, it's unfortunate because like I have a collection of movie posters too. So it's like, but I don't have anything modern. I got like, I got like Terminator, I got Batman, I got, you know what I mean? I got like older movies, Predator, like Pulp Fiction. Like I have some of my favorite movies and movie posters because they're just so iconic. But like, yeah, like the modern posters, they just do nothing for me. Like I would understand why nobody even cares about movie posters anymore because there's nothing in them to make you care about them. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it's unfortunate because like I'm into art too, so it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I would love to see us get back to like having hand drawn posters and stuff like that. Like, I think it would do great to make that movie stand out from all the other movies, but I don't think we'll ever get there because it's more about quantity than quality now. Let's just pump the movies out as quickly as possible and move on to the next one. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. So
yeah.
why do you think the movie the people who are creating these movies are caring less and less about originality and being unique and trying to stand out and
Hmm.
putting in a little more effort into these newer movies that are coming out? Why do you think that is going
um
on?
I
Do you
know
know?
exactly why, actually. It actually a few people in the movie industry have spoke about this like somewhat recently, and it pretty much lines up with what I was thinking already. And
Mm,
it's that like I think it was a Hot Ones interview, I think with Matt Damon, I want to say, and he was talking about how hard it is to get like an independent, like low budget drama movie made now because Hollywood doesn't want to invest in them anymore
mm,
because Hollywood only wants to invest in the sure thing now. Like it's like so like they want sequels. They want franchises, they want superhero movies. If it's not in those categories, Hollywood doesn't have a lot of faith in them, so they're not going to pump a lot of resources into them.
mm,
And this is where the physical media thing comes back up too cuz like he even said like in the 90s and the 80s, these low budget movies, even if they didn't do good at the box office, they would make up some of their costs in physical media. So
mm,
like when people would buy it on DVD or VHS or whatever. And because there's no physical media anymore, they don't have a secondary line of income for movies. It's box office or bust basically.
mm,
Is basically what it is. So that's why you see studios taking less chances on movies and why they don't embrace original stuff anymore because they think people only want to see things that are familiar to them.
mm.
And that's basically, I guess, where the disconnect is happening and why we can't really get original movies as much anymore. Like it's unfortunate, but I think that's honestly that's the truth. Like that's really what's going on. So it kind of stinks, like for me, but and you know any movie fan, but
Yeah.
it takes people to go out and to support like original movies. Like I know a lot of people say that, but it's the truth. Like if there's an original movie coming out in the theater that looks even halfway decent to you, I would encourage you to at least try to support it in some way because that's the only way you're going to send a message to make more movies like that.
Mm,
Like if all you do is go see MCU movies, that's all you're going to get. Like you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like that's all they're going to make because they're like that's all people want. So why would we make anything else? Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it really comes down to people need to support like original content. Like
Mm.
that's really what it is. Um, yeah,
I see. So you've always had like your own opinions on movies and that you've expressed.
yeah,
How important do you think it is for people to express their own opinions about movies and not just movies, but like anything in general?
very important, very important. I think, unfortunately, in today's world, we've gotten to this point where people are kind of afraid to express themselves. I think, and that's unfortunate to me because I come from a time like 90s like where it was all about speaking out, like you know what I mean. It was like it was all about rebelling. It was all about not not going with the status quo, like you know what I mean. And it's like it seems like now people have gotten comfortable and they're just like they're just content with whatever they get, and then they're kind of afraid to speak out and say, hey, I want a little bit better, I want something different. I don't know why. I think social media has a lot to do with it, honestly. Because like
Yeah.
you say anything outside the norm on social media, you're going to have 1,000 people attacking you. So it's like that's. I think that's part of it. That's kind of bred it into people's minds. But yeah, like I think conversation, not not even just with movies, just in general, life, whatever, music, it doesn't matter, fashion. I think conversation is very important. It's like you need to hear different perspectives. You can't just expect to hear the same thing you feel constantly retorted back to you because we're not going to ever grow as people doing that. Like
Mm.
you grow like you grow by listening to other perspectives, by listening to other opinions. That's why I say on my channel, right? Like if you don't agree with me, that's fine. Like I don't expect you to. Like I want to hear your opinion. You have to be respectful when you deliver it to me. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like if you come to me like with an honest opinion or like I don't agree and this is why, I'll listen to you. I'll have a conversation with you, and you might even change my mind. Like that's part of conversation, right? Like I'm open to have my mind changed. Like, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's like something I don't know why, but people are so afraid to have conversations anymore. It's like, and to me, like with movies, it's always been about conversation. Like I said, I grew up, that's all I did was talk about movies with people. Like we talked about what we didn't like, what we liked. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
now you say you don't like something, you know, you're called toxic, or you're called negative, or you're called this, or you're called that. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, and I get that a lot, trust me.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, I'm just being honest. I didn't like this movie. Like that's literally all it is. It's very weird, but like a conversation and people being afraid to have their own opinion, I think it's having a negative impact on people, like psychologically. Like it's like we have to start talking about stuff again, like, and not connecting emotions with it so much. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
that's, I think that's what it really is. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. So you
Yeah.
definitely have gotten a lot of negative
Yes.
feedback because
I have.
obviously
Yes.
you're speaking your own opinion. How do how do you deal with the people who have negative comments and say like hurtful things to you? And how should other people who are listening or who might have their own channel or do their
Yeah.
own thing, how can they deal with that? Or how do you deal with
Um,
that? What are some tips that you could give people to deal with that?
well, I mean, from a Facebook, from a YouTube perspective, I would say in most cases, it's best to pay certain people no mind, because honestly, they're just helping you by commenting on your video. So if you're if you're a YouTuber and you're getting negative comments, that's helping you. So I wouldn't worry about it. Like thumbs down, that's helping you too. So like they don't realize that maybe, but like they're only helping you by being that way. So as like as far as how I deal with it, sometimes I'll retort back to people. Just it depends on how they approach me, really. Like honestly, like I said, if they approach me correctly, I'll have a conversation with them. If they approach me in an ignorant way, sometimes I'll retort back in an ignorant way. I'll be like, you know, you need to learn how to talk to people. Like this isn't the way to approach me. You know what I mean?
Mm,
But then sometimes it's just like it's best to just ignore them, because it's like certain people are just going to think what they want to think. They're and that's not the audience you want. If people are getting upset about something you're saying, you're doing something right, in my opinion, because it's like, and you're filtering out people who won't support you anyway. So
mm,
you're not really losing out by people getting upset with you. It's a win for you, really, as a content creator, because you just know now the type of people you do want around you, the type of people that are going to support you and appreciate your honesty. Like that's who you should focus on. All that outside noise doesn't really matter. Now, I've gotten wrapped up in it too, like where I've had, you know, long conversations with people who are insulting me, and I don't even want to say the things that people have said to me, but people have said some really wild things to me about movie opinions, like over my opinions of movies.
yeah.
And like I'm talking about my family, talking about this, talking about that. I'm just like, you're taking this way too far. Like way too far. Like I think you're thinking about it way too much. So you can't talk to people like that though. Like that's just, they have it in their mind that that's how you're supposed to react to people online, and they have an opinion of you, and that's not going to change. So don't even bother talking to them. Honestly, I have there's people who I know personally, like in my personal life, who have gotten ignorant with me in my comment section because they don't they don't like agree with something I said. And I'm just like, and these are people I've known my whole life. Like this is to the extent that I've had to deal with this. And it's like, and I'm like, and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, you know who I am. You know what I'm about. You know, you've known me your whole life, and you're jumping to conclusions about something I said in a YouTube video. Like, so even when people who know you do it, it's like that's very telling. So you know you can't trust some random person on the internet who just found you. Like, you know what I mean? You can't trust their opinion.
Yeah.
But it's like it's just wild to me that like to the extremes that people take it sometimes. And it's like I'm insulting them by saying I don't like a movie. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Like I've never understood that mentality. Like I like movies that people hate. I don't expect people to, you know, to like them too. I like them, you don't. Cool, let's move on. Like, you
yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like it's like it works both ways. Like, yeah, it's wild because like, and I have made videos about negativity too, like people being negative towards me. because I have always heard to kind of monetize your haters, basically, that
Yeah.
is the best way to go about it. So I have done that in the past too, more poking fun at them than
Mm.
anything, like because you know, but it's like, yeah, like I created a whole character on my channel because of this.
Yeah.
Like there's a character on my channel called Cancel Joe, and he was inspired by comments that I got in my YouTube. Like that's where he came from. I was basically taking their comments and relaying it as his dialogue. Like that's basically where it came from.
Mm.
And it just and he is basically representative of people who are super sensitive online and take everything personally and overthink everything you say. Like that's basically what he is. Like and like try to like silence you because you have a difference of opinion. Like
Mm.
so like I created a whole character to kind of poke fun at those people. So that's how I dealt with it.
I like it. So you kind of made you monetized off of
I
it.
did. I did. I did.
You
I did.
did.
Yes.
You
Yes.
came up with something out of the negative energy. I like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I
You
like
you
that a
have
lot.
to. You gotta make the best of it because it's not gonna stop. So
Yeah. What's some other advice you could give people who are trying to say do like get into YouTube for the first time, whether it be movies or get into creating content about, expressing, like, what are some tips you could give somebody who's trying to get into start,
first,
like, who's someone who hasn't
yeah,
started yet?
yeah. First and foremost, I'd say just be yourself. Like it for a long time, like even like after I lost the initial people that were on the channel with me, like for a long time, I just kind of towed the line because I was afraid of upsetting people because I thought that was going to get me the biggest crowd or the most subs,
Mm.
and it didn't work. People can see right through that. Like when you're trying to toe the line, you're not trying to say anything that's gonna upset people because everything upsets people now. So it's like I did that. I was like, let me just. It didn't work because my channel didn't grow. All I got was negativity in all directions at that point because I wasn't being definitive enough. And I was like, I have to stop thinking that way. I have to just say what I mean, and then people will appreciate it or they won't. So the first thing I would say to anyone who's going to do something like I do or just be on YouTube in general is just be yourself. Don't try to be another YouTuber. I know you see other things working and you think that you can just apply that to your channel. It doesn't work like that. Like it really doesn't. Like I've tried that too where I'm like, "Oh, this works for this guy, maybe it'll work for me." It doesn't work. You have to develop your own style of video. You have to develop your own style of content, and that's what I feel like I'm doing. Like, you know what I mean? Like where I mix, skits in with what I'm saying sometimes, or I mix the movie clips that I use in with what I'm saying to kind of, accentuate what I'm saying. Like it's all about building your own style, I think.
Mm.
And that's the most important thing because how many people are on YouTube right now? How many people have channels? You have to do something to make yourself stand out from everyone else. Like if you just try to do things just like everyone else, it's not going to work. I could just tell you that right now because that's what I tried to do and it didn't work. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So the minute I started being myself, that's when my channel started to grow. So first and foremost, be yourself. And I would say just like is kind of stupid, but it's not really, but try your best to get the best equipment. I mean, it's equipment isn't everything
Mm.
because I've seen people, just filming in their basement with, no lighting, no nothing and but I think to the best of your ability, don't bankrupt yourself.
Mm.
There are things out there where you can like I don't have anything expensive in this room as far as like my equipment. I got a pretty standard mic here. I got pretty standard lights up. I have an Apple computer. That's probably the most expensive thing I have.
Mm.
But so get the best equipment you can get, but it's not all about the equipment either.
Yeah.
It's definitely not. It's more about what you're saying or what you're doing than it is about your equipment, I think. Because a lot of people place emphasis on that.
Yeah.
I've seen people who have these expertly like crafted movies like or videos and they have them edited better than a Hollywood movie. Like it's just it looks beautiful, but they aren't growing as a channel. So that's not everything. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's not everything. You have to have personality too. You have to have
Mm.
other factors that go into it. So I would say, yeah, just more than anything, just like figure out what you want to do, stick to it. Don't be deterred by failure either. When I put out a video and it only gets 100 views, it's frustrating to me because the amount of time I spend on it.
Yeah.
You got to think about like I spend 2 hours watching a movie, I spend 2 hours editing the video, another hour maybe uploading it and recording or whatever. It's just like it's frustrating when you don't get the views that you want, but don't place too much emphasis on that either, because in the long run, you'll have so much content there that when you do get an audience, they'll have plenty of stuff to go back and watch. You know what I mean?
That's
So
a great way to think about it.
yeah,
Really great way to think
definitely.
about it. And that's a
Yeah,
major, major tip for people just starting out who get, discouraged and by looking at the numbers all the time because of,
yeah,
obviously you're putting in a lot of work. Obviously it takes a lot of time to create all these things. And then you
right.
look at the numbers, some people, then you can get discouraged by it or encouraged by it, either one. But
Yeah.
when you're just starting out, obviously, it's a big factor and what you're basing yourself off of. But so so how do you like deal with that though? Like how do you deal with like not caring so much about the numbers? You just focusing on like
Well,
because you start like
yeah.
you s- some videos may not get numbers, some will do great, some will do less great than you expected.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So what what makes you get past that exactly? Just thinking about what's next.
Well, listen, I'm not perfect. I get discouraged just like everybody else does. Like,
Yeah.
I've wanted to quit YouTube a handful of times
Mm.
because I feel like, it's like it's a lot of work sometimes for not a lot of payoff. It does feel that way sometimes. But the next minute, like sometimes I'll take a break from it a little bit, like a couple days break, go back to it, get re-inspired, and then I'll drop a video and it'll, do thousands of views. So it's like in order to get like the only thing you could really do to get over your failures is to keep going and then have some success. Like honestly, it's just like that's literally how I deal with it. Like I'll be really excited about a video sometimes. I'll be like, man, this is going to do great numbers. Like I feel like I got everything working. The thumbnail's great, the title's great, everything's great. And I'll upload it and like I said, I'll get like 100 views, like or 200 views even. I consider that a failure for me personally because it's below what I think that my video should get.
Yeah.
Now, that's not the same for everyone. You have to take that into consideration too. Like, it depends on your subs. It depends on what you're doing. Like, so you can't always place all the emphasis on the numbers, but like, it is discouraging because it's like I said, like I'm putting hours into one video, like
Yeah.
hours I'm talking about. Like it's like hours away from my family,
Yeah.
hours away from my newborn son. You know what I mean? It's like it's very discouraging, but the only way to get past it is to just keep pushing because the minute I have a video that takes off, instantly I'm revitalized. It's
Mm.
like, okay, now I'm doing the right thing again. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, but a good tip is to not focus on numbers too much because
Yeah.
it's like if you do, you're going to drive yourself crazy. I've done it myself. I'm speaking from experience. Like you're going to drive yourself crazy if you're constantly sitting there looking at your sub count,
Yeah.
looking at your view count. Like
It's
it's
true.
not going to work. Like just no offense, but make a video, drop it, and move on. Like that's it.
Yeah.
That's all you can really do.
It's
That's all
true.
you can really do.
It's
Yeah.
really
So
true. So
yeah.
that I actually have a question. So what is your process in creating the videos? You create the reaction videos and and the reviews.
Yeah.
Like what's your process? I want to know how it works.
Well, I'm assuming like post watching it, of course. But even when I'm watching it, depending on where I am, I don't take notes in the theater. But if I'm watching something at home, I'll take notes.
Okay.
If I'm watching in the theater, I don't take notes because it ruins the experience for me. So,
Mhm.
but once I'm done watching whatever I'm watching, typically I'll think about it for a little while. I don't go directly into making the video. I feel like it's better for me to process what I watched first before
Mhm.
jumping right into it. I don't like instant reaction stuff. Like I'm not the type to watch a trailer and react to it live. Like I don't like that stuff because to me, I like to think about things before I talk about them. So that's just my personal preference.
Mm.
But so I'll think about it for a little while and then I'll start jotting down bullet points or I'll start hitting I'll actually write down major points in the movie that I want to talk about, stuff that struck me, stuff that's memorable to me, stuff I hated. Like so I'll take extensive notes, like pages and pages of notes on every single thing that I want to talk about. And then it just comes down to firing up the camera and just kind of hitting all those bullet points to the best of my ability. And if you notice too, like in my videos, it's I call it jump cuts. It's very like I'm constantly speaking, like there's no dead air. That's
Mm.
on purpose because initially when I first started, before I knew how to edit, I would pause a lot because I was thinking. I would
Yeah.
pause a lot. I would say a lot, which I hate. But it's part of naturally speaking. That happens sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I hated it. I was like, I have to stop doing that. But it was so hard to do it when you're on camera and you're trying to get everything out you want to talk about. So my whole process for editing is just that, like, I want to remove all dead air. I want to get to the point as quickly as I can, as quickly as possible, because most people don't have time to sit down for a 20-minute review. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why I try to keep my reviews 6 to 8 minutes, probably, if it's somewhere in there. Sometimes I'll go to 10 if I'm really, passionate about something, but like that's about the max, I think. And like, if you notice, like all my videos, like I edit them in a way to where there's no dead space. There's no wasted time. Like I get to the point and I move on to the next thing. So the editing process, while it is tedious, I do enjoy doing it, but it's a very tedious process. It takes me about an hour to edit a video, probably, and that's after I've already prepared and recorded. So again, a lot of time spent. But the editing process, like I taught myself how to edit. Like I had no idea how to edit anything prior to being on YouTube. I got a laptop, it had editing software. I taught myself how to use it. Like that's literally how it went. So like, and over time, I just keep getting better and better at it. You know what I mean? And yeah, so that's the next part. And then of course you just upload it at that point. And sometimes that's not as easy as it sounds either if you're on YouTube. So YouTube likes to take their time uploading stuff sometimes too. So, but yeah, that's the whole process. It's like just thinking about and planning out what I'm talking about. Like like I'm not as reactionary as some other YouTubers where it's just like, let me just react to this thing as quickly as possible. I like to think about things. Like I don't like to rush anything really. So yeah.
Do you write a script or do you just make the bullet points and freestyle based off of
Um,
that?
it's a little bit of both, kind
Mm,
of. I do have a script, sort of like that. It's not like a general structure to my reviews or anything like that, but
mhm,
there are things that I want said a specific way that I'll write them down a specific way and make sure I say them that way because it accentuates my point. So it's like it is kind of a script, but it's definitely me just kind of, I guess you could say, I don't want to say reacting because that's not the right word, but it's definitely all me as far as like it's more natural, I guess is what
yeah.
I'm trying to say. Like it's not phony or anything like that. Like I still make it come off very naturally, even though there is kind of a script involved.
Mm,
So that was my goal, was to not sound robotic either. I don't want to be like, oh, but like, you know what I mean? Like I don't want to sound boring because
Yeah,
people are giving me their 7 minutes. I want to make sure they're entertained and they're informed by the end of it.
exactly.
You know what I mean? So
So what I wanted to say was, so you also do a live stream every week.
I do.
How
Yes.
did and you with the co-host Rocco?
Yes.
How'd you meet
Rocco.
Rocco?
Yes. I just showed up in his live stream one night, in the comments. I had been watching his videos because I got back into collecting at that point. So I got into collecting like retro toys and VHS and stuff like that. And I guess he had noticed that I was commenting on his videos a lot, and my logo like stood out to him or whatever, my Real Shift logo. And he saw me in his comments one time and he was just like, "Hey, you want to come on?" And I was like, first of all, I was taken back because I was like, I've never, and this never happens. I've never had a YouTuber ever reach out to me and be like, "Do you want to come on my show?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, to me, YouTube unfortunately is kind of it's kind of an elitist type attitude where like bigger channels don't really, mess with smaller channels. I know he hates those terms, but I'm trying to explain it to you.
Yeah.
But like bigger channels usually don't give smaller channels the time of day. And at that point, I've maybe had 400 subscribers. I don't even know. But he gave me the time of day. He was like, "Listen, I've watched some of your videos. I like what you have to say. You seem like a cool dude. Come on my live stream." I came on my live stream on his live stream. Ever since then, like we've just connected like immediately. It was like we knew each other our whole lives. Like it was the weirdest thing. Like never talked to this dude prior to that first live stream. And then all of a sudden, like we got like a whole friendship out of it, basically. So it was a very cool experience. I think we have great chemistry on live streams together. Like we just work so well together because he's a little more, you know, he's a little more Rocco, a little more hyper and all that stuff. And I'm a little bit more low key than he is. So it's like, so yeah, like I think we complement each other well. And that's why we do live streams together. It feels right. So yeah, definitely one of my favorite things about YouTube was meeting him, because he's been nothing but helpful and supportive of me. So I can't thank him enough for that, honestly. Like, yeah. So
What has made you want to do live streams each weekly? It's a lot of
he
work.
did
It's a lot
actually.
of work doing going live every week.
Yeah, he did actually. I had no intention of ever going live on my channel. It was not even something I thought about. I was like, that's not really for me. I just want to make videos, like, But he was like, you should go live. You should go live. You should go live. I trust me. It'll work for you. You got the personality for it. You should. He kind of pushed me. He was like, you should go live, and I'll come on with you. So it's not, because going live by yourself is kind of weird. I will admit that it is weird to just kind of sit there and talk to yourself. I mean, you're
Yeah.
talking to the chat, but it's nice to have someone to play off of,
Yeah.
like, for sure. And he's
Ha-
just like, he encouraged me to do it, and I just did it one day, and again, it felt natural to me. I was like, oh, this is not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Like, it came naturally to me to live stream. So, and then that's basically how it started. Yeah.
How do you think doing live streams has affected your YouTube channel?
Um,
Do you
what's
think it
funny,
has helped?
I don't actually. Well, let me phrase it properly. I think it's great for interacting with people who are already subscribers to you. As far as growing your channel, it has no impact on that whatsoever. At least I haven't noticed any. Um, if you want to grow, like, the only way I grow my channel is through my videos. I rarely ever get someone showing up on a live stream like, "Hey, I just subscribed to you." Like, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like it's not good for growing your channel, but it is good for interacting to the people you already have. So in that aspect, it's great. Um, but as far as growing your channel and developing your channel, I don't think it has an impact on it at all. Like, honestly, like, if there is, I haven't noticed it.
Yeah.
Actually, I think in some cases it actually negatively impacts your channel, because um for some reason, and this is a YouTube thing, I don't have any insider information on this, but YouTube algorithm type stuff, I've noticed that live streams, if you leave them up, sometimes it can hurt how YouTube pushes your channel. I don't know why. I would think they would want live streams. Like, I would think it would be more revenue for them, but YouTube sometimes seems to not like them, and I don't know why that is necessarily. That's why I make all mine like members only when I'm done, because it's like the members can watch them anytime they want, but sometimes when I leave them up on the channel, they seem to negatively impact the channel for some reason. I don't know why that is, though. Like, I don't really have inside information on that, but it's just
Yeah.
something I noticed.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's your process in coming up with ideas and topics for each week of the live stream?
It's actually, I have like a list in my phone where I write things down that I see throughout the week that I think would be interesting topics. Again, with my live stream, I just wanted to have conversation. Like, that's my whole thing, is like conversation. And Rocco's a good person to bounce things off of, because we don't always agree on everything. So it's like we do clash on some things where we do agree on other things. But like, so yeah, it's just a matter of like finding topics that are interesting to me. One thing I can't do is like fake interest in something.
Mm.
Like, if I legit, like, I've made videos where I've been halfway through and I'm like, this isn't working, and I stopped making the video. Like, it's like I delete the video. I'm like, I could tell that I wasn't into it when I was talking about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to waste anybody's time. Like, I'm not here to just, talk about anything and everything because it's the popular thing to do. If I'm talking about something on my live stream or in my video, know that I actually care about it. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Mhm.
there's no like wasted time with me. So it literally comes down to just news items and lists and articles that speak to me and I think would make great conversation. And then I bring them up on the live stream.
Yeah.
It's really that simple. Yeah.
That's interesting. Let's get back to the movies. So
Yeah.
how do you what's your preference in how do you watch your movies? You do you watch them like for the reviews? You go to the theater to watch all your movies? You
Yeah.
like
I'm
watch
a
stream
theater.
them?
Yeah, I'm a theater guy for sure. If it's in the theater, I'm going to the theater. They do simultaneous drops sometimes, like on
Yeah.
streaming. I'd still go to the theater. I think even when you go watch a bad movie in the theater, it's still the experience still makes it kind of worth it. Like, I've gone to movies where I know there's no chance I'm gonna like it. Like, but because I'm going to the theater, it's a little bit more enjoyable to me. Like,
Yeah.
if I'm at home and I'm watching something I don't like, I check out because I'm at home.
Yeah.
If I'm in the theater and watching something I don't like, I'm like, well, I already paid for it, so I'm gonna keep watching it anyway. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like it's a different atmosphere. And like for me, like I grew up in the theater. Like I went to the theater every week with my family. So it's like the theater experience is very important to me. Like I don't have the same experience with movies watching them on TV as I do in the theater. Like I've watched things in the theater and then watched them at home and they weren't as enjoyable. Like, you know what I mean? It's like the theater just adds an extra layer to it to me. Like, so it's like when I go to the theater, it's just a full experience for me. I'm checked out of everything else. Like I'm shut off from the world. I'm focused on this world, what
Yeah,
I'm watching alone, and I get sucked into it. And it's just like it's one of my favorite places to be in the world. It's relaxing. It's calming to me. Like it's just I love being in the movie theater. Like no experience to me is better than that. Like that's my one of my favorite places to be. Like so yeah,
that's awesome.
definitely. Yeah.
So what's your movie theater seat preference? Since I want to know like what's your seat preference? Where are you sitting? Are you sitting all the way in the
This
back? Are you sitting where are you sitting?
this is an
Left,
important question
right?
now because
Yeah.
they're changing the prices on everything.
Oh
So
yeah, exactly.
it's a very important
It might
question.
change.
Yeah, it might change now. But honestly, when I used to go to the theaters less, I was a middle of the theater kind of guy. Like middle this way and this way. So
Yeah.
like in the center as much as I possibly be. Now that I go so much, I'm not as concerned about where I sit. I've I typically, believe it or not, I sit as far away from people as I possibly can, just in case they're annoying and obnoxious. So like if there's a crowd on one side, I'll sit all the way on the other side just to shut myself off from everyone. I don't want any distractions. Like
Mm,
that's more important to me than having the perfect seat is being away from distractions. So
that's
so
pro tip. That's the pro
yeah,
tip right
yes,
there.
exactly. Like I've had many movie experiences ruined by crowds. So it's you know what I mean?
It's a
Like
fact.
I asked for money back because of crowds before. Like I didn't even watch the movie. Like I couldn't watch the movie. You know what I mean? Like nothing worse than paying to go in the movie theater because it's a lot of money now,
Yeah.
and then having it ruined by people in the theater. So
Yeah, it's true.
so I just sit as far away from people as I can now.
Have you ever sat in the front seat?
Oh my god. One time. And it was
Was
the
it by
worst
accident?
experience. It was the no, I got there late and it was a full theater. And this was before you had assigned seats. So it was like you just sat wherever it was first come, first serve.
Yeah.
So I got there late at the credits or the trailers were already started. And I walked in and I'm looking and I'm like, yo, this theater's full. It was like opening night. It was like a Friday night, I think. I don't go on Friday nights anymore either.
Yeah.
But usually I go Thursday now because there's less people. That's another pro tip. Most new movies on Friday, they come out Thursday, actually. So,
Another pro tip. There you go.
yes. So actually, if you go Thursday, there's a lot less people too. But
Mm,
that's something I do. Thursday is my movie night. But yeah, I walked into the theater and it was just so packed. There's just people wall to wall, and I was like, I don't even know where I'm going to sit. I thought I was going to have to sit on the steps. Like honestly, like I was like prepared to sit on the steps. I was like, and like the only thing available was that one row that's like right in front of the screen. And I was just like, I've never sat there before in my life. Like, so I sat there and the whole time I'm just like, I'm this like, it's like,
It's so bad.
it was the worst experience in the movie theater ever. Like
It's so bad.
that might be worse than having a crowd that distracts me from the movie. I don't know. It's right there. They're both the two worst things that can happen. So
All right. I have
all
two more questions, and we have some questions from the chat. We have a bunch of
right,
them
cool.
actually. So
Awesome. I like that. Cool.
one of the questions I had was what actor would play you in a movie about you? Who would
uh,
play you?
that's crazy. I've never thought about that. That's a good question. I don't know. I'm I have to think about that for a minute. I'm trying to think of someone like younger than me because it makes sense, but there's not a lot of young actors that I really like all that much. So
All
it's
right, really
kind of
hard
hard.
question.
It is a hard question. I know when I if I could like if I could take like time travel and get like a younger version of an older actor, I could maybe do that. And I would see like I think it would be this is gonna sound I think it would be cool to have Al Pacino play me.
I love it.
A younger version of Al Pacino, I think would be amazing. like doing the life story of a guy who started a YouTube channel and have Al Pacino play him. Like, who wouldn't watch that movie?
That sounds amazing. Yo, I love it. I really
and
love that.
young Al, like he was a little more soft spoken back in the day. It was before he started yelling and stuff. So
Yeah.
like, I think it would fit my personality a little bit more than people think. They might be thinking of old Al. A young Al was soft spoken. He was a little more reserved. So like, I think it might work. Like honestly, yes.
I love that. That was just a random one that I had to have in there.
That's a good one. I like that. Yeah.
So how do you? All right, last question. Then we have like a speed round of 5 favorites. So how
Okay.
do you think movies has affected your life, like your real life?
Profoundly. Definitely. Yeah. Like, I don't think any other art form has impacted me as much as movies has. Like, I literally, it sounds corny, but I really think they like shape me into the person I am. Like, it's like I can't, I can't listen to it. This is a good example. Like sometimes when I'm listening to, say, an album or something like that, a music, in my mind, I'm creating a movie around the music. Like I'm always thinking in like a cinematic way. Like I'm driving down the street and I'll see something happening and I'll be like looking at it. I'll be like, oh, that would make a good shot in a movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm constantly thinking about these things, which makes me feel like I should have like pursued like a directing career because I'm always like thinking about. I still might, by the way, but I'm always thinking about like shots in movies. Like, or when I have like a dream or something, I'll get up immediately and write it down. I'll be like, oh, this would make a great movie scene. Like, you know what I mean? It's almost as if movies have like completely like just taken over my life in a weird sort of way. It's like I just always think of things in terms of, are they cinematic or not? It's weird. It's weird to say that, but it's true. Like I'll be walking down, I don't know, like for instance, like I'll walk out of the movie theater like late at night and it'll be dead quiet outside. And like I'll instantly start coming up with scenarios, like movie scenarios in my head of what's going to happen to me when I walk out these doors and there's nobody around, and like there's going to be a guy out there, or you know, Godzilla will be off on the horizon or something. It's like I think about that stuff sometimes. It's weird, but like I do. It's like I'm always thinking in like a cinematic sense. Like, so for that reason alone, and I've done this as since a kid too. Like I used to make up stories all the time as a kid, like little mini movies, like with action figures and stuff like that, like make up storylines and stuff like that. And it was, so I've always thought this way. I've always been very creative in that way, like storytelling. So like I think that has a lot to do with me being raised on movies. It's just like
Yeah.
I'm just so familiar with other worlds and like and with people showing me things in these cinematic ways that it's like just had this profound influence on me. And it's just like yeah, it's just, it's crazy to say it, but like movies have just really just taken over my life. Like it's weird, but it's just, it is what it is. Like I couldn't live with, I can't imagine my life without movies. Like they mean everything to me, like honestly. Like they
Yeah.
really do. Like so yeah, that's
Amazing.
pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
All right, so now we're gonna do like 5 favorites, a quick round, and then we're gonna get into
Okay,
the questions that we have from the
let's
people
do
who
it.
are watching live right now. All right, so 5 favorites. Favorite candy,
um Sour Punch Bites, I think they're called.
Sour
they're
Punch Bites.
they're basically, yeah, like kind of like Sour Patch Kids, but bigger, basically. Yeah. Yeah. I like sour candy. I don't know why, but I do. Yeah.
Favorite Ninja Turtle.
Raphael,
Favorite comic book character.
Batman,
Favorite color.
Blue,
Hard question. Favorite movie.
Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction. I love it. It's a great movie. All right, so let's get into what people have asked. All right, so here we
I'm
go. Let's.
excited for this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got
Let's
a
go
lot of
for this.
questions here.
Okay.
Here we go. Let's go. I don't have the names for it again. Unfortunately, it's for some reason it messed up. But next time I'll have the name set up. I don't know who
Okay.
asked these questions. So if you asked it, say it in the chat. Hollywood Video or Blockbuster? First question.
Ooh. You know what? Hollywood Video. I'm gonna say Hollywood Video. Yeah. I went to both, but Hollywood, I prefer Hollywood Video. It was less corporate. It was like it was more low budget than Blockbuster. I like
Yeah.
that. I like they had like, I feel like they had more of a selection of like movies you wouldn't see as much like
Felt more
that.
like at
So
home type of vibe
yes,
of
exactly.
the store.
Yes. Yeah.
Where do you prefer watching a movie? Theaters or at home? I think you already answered
Theaters.
that.
Yeah, theaters, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Not even close.
Have you watched Cobra Kai?
I've never seen Cobra Kai. I hear a lot of great things about it. It's just not something that I was ever really drawn to for whatever reason. I'm not like a huge like Karate Kid fan, so like it's I mean it's fine. I've seen it. It's a good movie, but like I just never felt like I needed to see more of it, I guess. But from what I hear, it is pretty good, so I might try it someday. I
Yeah,
might. Yeah.
people say a lot
Maybe
of good things about it, but I
maybe once it's done and then I could just, go through it at my own pace, like
mm.
maybe I'll do that cuz I do that sometimes. So, yeah.
um next question. Are you watching the XFL?
I listen. I have strong opinions on the XFL. No, I prefer the original incarnation of the XFL from like
The
2002 or whatever it was. The one that was more like wrestling, like where they were
yeah,
like going into the
I
locker
remember
rooms
that.
and stuff. Yeah, like I thought that was great as like a little wrestling fan. To have that and football together was kind of cool to me.
It was a good
But
idea.
yeah, it was. It was. I enjoyed it. I wished it had carried on, but it didn't. The new XFL I've not watched at all. I have a hard time. I like football. I do. That's my favorite sport, but I can't watch games that in my head don't mean anything.
Mm.
And like right now, like I feel like the XFL doesn't really mean a whole lot. It's like even the NFL, I can't watch preseason because the games don't mean anything.
Yeah,
Like it's a waste of my time.
yeah,
Like you know what I mean? Like
I
let me
get
know
it.
when the season starts. Like you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like that's pretty much how I am. So like if I'm gonna watch football, it's gonna be the NFL regular season, and that's it. Yeah, I don't have a lot of interest in the new XFL. No, I don't.
Um, do you think the Flash movie will do the original Flashpoint justice?
No. No, I don't. Based on the trailers, it doesn't look like Flashpoint at all. It's Flashpoint in name only. Nothing about the original story is included in the movie other than Flash saving his mom. So no, I don't think it's going to be the same. And for that reason, I'm not real interested in it. So yeah,
Mm.
it's yeah.
Hiya, Joe. Great to see you on Hype It Up with John. My question for you is, with a massive collection of movies, what's your all-time favorite movie that you would keep if you had to get rid of them all?
Ooh. Um, as far as my collection goes,
Yeah, if you
um,
only had to keep one from the collection, had to get rid
I,
of
I
all of
got
them.
you. It's right here.
Oh, nice. We got a visual.
See, this Beetlejuice right here. You can see that it's like very worn. This is my original copy of Beetlejuice from when I was a kid. This movie used to be the movie more than any other movie that my parents would put on to make me happy. So I would watch this movie on repeat sometimes. Like it would end and they would start it again because it was the only thing that would make me happy when I was like being kind of like I guess annoying or being a little whiny or something like that. Like so they would throw this movie on and it's the original copy. It doesn't even play right anymore. Like it's all messed up if you actually play it. But it has sentimental value to me because it's my original copy. Look, like the top is gone.
Mm.
Like the parts of the cardboard are missing, but this is the one thing that I would never, ever, 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 ever want to lose or get rid of. Like, because it just has sentimental value to me. And as a kid, it was my favorite movie. So yeah, that's the answer right there.
All right. That's sick, though. That's really sick that you still have that.
Yes,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
I'm happy that I still have my original copy. That's good.
All right, so next question. Let me see. We got a couple of funny ones in here, so I'm gonna not
Okay.
say those ones. Sorry.
You're not gonna say those what you
No,
said?
they're
They're a little wild.
yeah, they're wild.
Okay.
Do you have any plans of doing a room tour video showcasing your collection?
Yes, I've been planning that for a long time actually. The only reason I haven't done it yet, and people have been following me a while can vouch for this, but right when I had finished everything, I had a flood in my basement, and I had to take my entire collection, put it in boxes, and move it to the other side of my basement, clean up all the water, rebuild everything because I had to re sheetrock all the rooms again, and then I had to pull everything back. And I'm just now getting to a point where I'm starting to get my whole collection back where it was. So as soon as I'm done with that, I have 3 rooms now that I'm going to go through with a collection tour. I have my VHS room, which is where I'm at now. I have a toy room, which I collect vintage toys also, and I have my movie room, which is where I watch movies at. Basically, it's my big screen TV and all my DVDs and stuff like that, my physical media. So I have 3 rooms that I'm going to show everybody at some point. Yes.
I'm excited to see that. I'm really
Yeah.
excited to see that. All right. No, they weren't funny. They were like trolling
Oh,
ones.
they were trolling
Yeah, trolling
questions.
questions. They weren't even
Wait,
questions. They were just trolling statements.
wait, do I have haters in your
No, no, no.
questions?
They were
Oh,
just
okay.
trolling
All right.
trolling
It's
about Wakanda
possible because they follow
Forever,
me.
Chucky TV show.
Chucky. For those that don't know,
Namor.
I'm eternally connected with Chucky. So yeah, because of my reviews. So that's like Real Shift and Chucky are synonymous with each other. So yes.
Candyman. There's a lot. These are all your most popular videos, right?
Yeah, they're all the ones that I blew up on, basically.
Yeah, these are
Candyman, Chucky, Namor, which is my most popular video actually. And yeah, they were the ones that kind of put me on the map. And I also got a lot of haters from those videos too. So
all right.
that's where I started to learn to deal with those people. So.
All right, next question. Stone Cold or The Rock and why?
Ooh, that's a good question. Stone Cold for me. Stone Cold is probably my favorite wrestler of all time. So it'd be hard to compete with him. I was a big Rock fan too. Don't get me wrong, but Stone Cold to me, just like, again, it goes back to that rebellious thing. He was everything I wanted at that age in the 90s, like just rebelling against like his boss and like not taking, no for an answer and just like making his own way. Like, who couldn't get behind a story like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's
Yeah.
like fighting with your boss week to week and like, pouring beer over him and beating him up. Like, it's it's amazing. Like,
It was the
it's an
best.
amazing story. Like, Stone Cold is forever my favorite wrestler of all time. It's to this day when I see him show up, I'll go out of my way to watch wrestling just for him. Like, just because he's great. He's the best, like, honestly. So yeah, Stone Cold definitely.
Did you have an Austin 316 shirt?
Absolutely.
You
I
had to.
I got not kicked out, but I was told to leave my school because of it. For that day, like I had to leave school because the Austin 316 shirts were being like banned in schools, basically. So
That's
I wore it to
amazing.
school anyway, and they were like, "You either turn it inside out or you have to leave." And I left. So, so there
That's
we
You're like, I wear it every day.
go. Right? Yeah, I don't have to be here. Absolutely.
All right, next question. Do you like the Fast and Furious series?
Ooh. Um uh I like the Fast and the Furious movies to a point.
Mm,
The there's a point in that series where things got a little bit too crazy even for me. Like, I understand that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to one up themselves each time, but like when you start going to space and stuff, it's just like that's where I check out. Like, it's like the original Fast and the Furious is a great movie in my opinion. Like, I love the original Fast and the Furious, and I even like when they did like a little soft reboot and started to bring people back, like around Fast Five and Fast Six era. I think those were great action movies. They're not like great storytelling wise, but just for pure action, like Fast Five and Fast Six were pretty amazing as far as just like being entertaining.
mm.
That's when they introduced The Rock to the story and all that too. But yeah, like around seven is where it started to lose me a little bit. It was like, all right, you're trying too hard now. Like, it's time to stop. Like, like I was with you up until like, we started jumping cars out of one building into another building and like skyscrapers and stuff. I was like, yeah, you lost me there. Like, there's a point where I can't suspend disbelief anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
This is a good question right here.
yeah,
DVDs took over VHS. Streaming took over DVDs. What do
yeah.
you think will take over streaming movies?
Um, outside of downloading them right into our brain somehow. I don't I don't know. I don't know what else could be. Yeah, like that's the next step, right? Like, I guess we get somehow we connect to the movie digitally and we actually go into it maybe. I don't know. Like, what is next? Yeah, like I would love it if like physical media just made a comeback because people got tired of streaming, but that I know that won't happen because it's just streaming is too convenient. It's too convenient for people. They just had one up on the competition. There's no competing with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't really know what the next stage is. all I can say is I hope and pray that streaming doesn't dominate so much that stuff like movie theaters disappears completely. Because I've heard rumors of that possibly being a thing. To me, that would be devastating to someone like me. Like, honestly, like, I don't even think I could look at movies the same way anymore. That's how devastating that would be. So yeah, like, outside of, yeah, downloading the movie straight to your brain, I don't know what the next step would be.
um, next question. Weirdest thing you've seen people do at the movie theater?
Oh. um, weirdest thing I've seen people do at the movie theater. Well, there was this one time, and I was actually referencing it when I was talking about a bad experience a few minutes ago. But there was this one time I went to see a horror movie. I don't remember the movie. I want to say it was like The Strangers 2 or something like that. It was like something very random like that. And the theater wasn't even that packed, like, really, but there was people in there, and there was this group of people behind me yelling at the screen. Like, it's I'm not even talking about like with each other, like literally yelling at the screen as if the people in the movie can hear them. Like the stereotype that you would see like be a joke in a movie. Like these people were actually doing it. And I don't think they were doing it as a joke either. They were like literally yelling at the screen. And then people in front of them like got upset because they were doing it, and they were like telling them to shut up and stuff. And next thing I know, they're like in a full blown like argument behind me. Like, so I'm not watching the movie at all anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like this because I'm waiting for them to like, I don't know, start falling over me or something like. So I'm like this, watching them argue, and the cops showed up and everything.
What?
Like, yeah, the cops came in our theater, like went up there, broke up the fight and everything. There was like, it was like pandemonium. Like everybody from Regal was in there. The lights were up and the movie was still playing. I was like, this is the worst experience of my life.
That's insane.
Yes, I've never had a worse experience than that. I actually went to the manager. I was like, "You're giving people money back, right? Because this is not a good experience." She was like, "Yes, we're giving everyone their money back." I was like, "Good." Still haven't seen that movie like all the way through, by the way.
That's crazy. That's crazy. All right, I think this is the
Yes.
last question we have.
Yeah.
Um, let me see. Who's your favorite director?
Oh, that's easy. It's Quentin Tarantino. Yeah,
Quentin
absolutely.
Tarantino.
I don't think there's been a more influential director on me than him. Like, honestly, like if like I want to do movies like kind of at some point. Like I want to do like short films, maybe to start out on YouTube at some point. And it would be hard for me not to be influenced by him in some way because that's how much his movies have meant to me. Like honestly, like I think first of all, I think he has a perfect track record. I don't think he's ever made a bad movie, if I'm being honest. Like literally, the dude's made 9 movies, and every single one of them have been great to me. Great to amazing. So it's like, so to me, like he's exact like, and when he brings a movie out, it's an event. Like I have to see that movie. Like he's one of the few directors who are left that his name alone sells a movie. Like, you know what I mean? There aren't many people like that anymore. And I think when you see Tarantino, like people show up for that. And just like everything about him, just like the way he borrows from other movies and kind of like contorts it and then puts it out as his own thing. Like I just love everything about the way he crafts movies, the way he writes dialogue, how he makes it sound so natural. Like, and it doesn't take you out of the movie when you're listening to people talk. Like, it's just everything about him. Yes, without a doubt, Quentin Tarantino, my favorite director of all time. Yes. So
We have one more question actually. What kind of TV and surround system does Joe use at home?
what's funny right now.
People want to know how are these movies being watched?
Well, I will say I have a Samsung smart TV. I think it's a 65 inch, but I do have a projector also
Oh,
with a
really?
screen. Yes. So a few years ago I invested in a projector, and so that I have that hanging from my ceiling as well, and a screen that comes down in front of my TV. So I can go like the full movie theater, or as close as I can get to my house. I can go the full movie theater experience if I want to. My sound system is not even hooked up right now. I'm a little embarrassed by that, but it's just another situation with the flood and everything, moving everything around. Like I just never hooked the sound system back up. So I have been watching it with like basic sound for a while, which kind of sucks.
Mm.
But I do have like a Sony sound system with a bass and everything and surround sound and all that. I just it's not it's not hooked up right now. I had to take it down all off the walls and I just didn't have the ambition to put it all back up yet. I'll get to it eventually, but I do have a Sony sound system. So yeah.
That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
Now people know the real behind the scenes of how
Exactly.
everything is getting watched. All right, so what's next for you, your channel? What's next? What are some future plans, or do you have any sneak peeks you could give us here tonight?
Yeah. I mean, my goal right now is just to keep building my fan base or my subscriber count and just get to a point where I can have enough subscribe. Well, first and foremost, I'd like to be able to get early access to movies, just so like if you notice a lot of movie reviewers, they'll put their reviews out like 3 or 4 days early. So it's like I'd like to get to a point where I can go get like those press passes and go to premieres and stuff like that. That's a little bit of a long way off, but I think it's in the cards for me, and that may lead to like me possibly interviewing people too. I would be down for that as well. So to be able to talk to the people that like I look up to in the movie industry would be like a dream come true to me. So like if I could sit down with Quentin Tarantino, just pick his brain about movies, it'd be like amazing to me. But so that's a long-term goal for me. Another long-term goal again is to do my own short films at some point. It's just something I've always wanted to do. I have a notebook about this thick of movie ideas that I've just been coming up with for my entire life. Like I'll have a new idea, I'll write it down. Some are more fleshed out than others, but like I actually I started filming a movie before I had a YouTube channel. Like I began the process of filming my own independent movie, but it didn't work out. Another pro tip: if you're doing an independent film, don't use your friends because because they don't care as much as you do, and they're just there to have a good time. They're not there to most likely they're just there to have a good time and not there to actually fulfill your vision. So I would so my goal is to get enough of a fan base of an audience to where I could do some kind of Kickstarter type deal and maybe get funding for an independent movie, and then I can hire actual like actors and actresses and stuff like that, like locally, and like see if I can actually put together, even if I just do it one time, I want to be able to say I made a movie. That's all I really want. Like honestly, that's my ultimate goal in life, is just say I made this. And even if that's the only thing I ever do, like I think that'd be really cool to have something like that to kind of like, you know, cement my place in the movie industry a little bit. So that's
Yeah,
that's my goal. So
I like
yeah.
that. That's
Yeah.
I feel like those are good goals and achievable.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Um, so I want to say, where can people find you? By the way, for people watching who don't know where your channel is,
Yeah.
where can people find you?
I mean, obviously, you can find me on YouTube, Real Shift. It's REEL, like movie reel, not real, like real, real. So, that I've had people get that confused sometimes. So yeah, it's Real Shift on YouTube. I'm also on most social medias. I'm on Instagram as Real Shift as well. I'm on Twitter as Real Shift Joe, I believe is my handle on there. And yeah, just you can follow me on any of my social media platforms too, to stay like up to date on stuff that I'm doing. And I know all my opinions, my strong opinions and stuff like that. And I also let everybody know when I'm dropping new videos and stuff, because you can't always rely on YouTube to notify people, unfortunately. So
And
I
you
got to find other ways to make sure people know I'm actually making content. But
and you do live stream. What time and day is
yeah,
your live stream?
Wednesday nights. So tomorrow night, 8 p.m. East. Every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time, I do a live stream on YouTube with Rocco, and yeah, we just basically it's just a nice little atmosphere where we can just hang out, talk about movies, have fun. We always have a good turnout. I got to send a big shout out to my chat every week because they're always awesome every single time. So yeah, they always bring good conversation to it. Like people really, there are a lot of people who really do understand what I'm trying to do and don't take everything I say so seriously. So it's like I appreciate those people a lot. But yeah, come hang out, subscribe. I'd be great. I'd greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So everyone, sub to Real Shift Joe, and check out all the content that he's creating, and find out, if you want to see, not sure if you want to know more about a movie or something new that's coming out, check out his channel and
Yeah,
stay up to date all movie topics, and you even do old movies too
I do from
sometimes.
time to time. Yep.
Um
Yep.
so first, I want to say thank you so much for coming and doing this interview. I'm really
Yeah.
excited to do this. I really hope it brought some value to people who want to know more about you. And even if it's their first time watching you or learning about you, hopefully it brought some value to everybody watching to get inspired, get hyped up to either do their own thing, or seeing other people, do their own things. And
Yeah.
seeing other people voice their opinions will hopefully inspire them to go on and do it as well. So I want to say
Definitely.
thank
Yeah.
you so much first and foremost
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
being here and doing this with us.
Thank you as well for having me, and thank you to everybody in your chat for hanging out also. Yeah, like I told him before here, like I don't get invited on other channels too often, so like when somebody does it, it's really cool to see, somebody trying to create connections with other people on YouTube rather than, trying to make more division. So like I really like what you're doing here with this whole setup and trying to like, have conversations between content creators and help people. I think that's a good thing. So I appreciate you having me on for sure.
Thanks a
Yeah.
lot, man. I really, really
Yeah, yeah.
appreciate it. And also, I want to say a huge shout out to everybody who's watching this live right now. If you're catching the replay, we do this live and you're able to ask questions while we're live with the people we are interviewing. So, huge shout out to everyone in the chat. If you want to get more interactive in the chat, we do a What a Funk live stream on Thursdays at 6 p.m.
Mhm.
So, thank you everyone for hanging out with us tonight. I want to say, everyone, go please follow Real Shift and check
Yeah.
out the content that he's creating. It's really, really dope, and I think everyone should subscribe right this second. Um, and thank you so much, everyone, for hanging out tonight. And stay tuned for the next Hype It Up show. I'm thinking maybe possibly doing this every other week, possibly. So stay tuned
Okay.
and see what's
Cool.
going on. Um, Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us, and we'll catch you on the next one. All right, peace, Joe, and peace,
Peace out.
everyone.